So let me start with a sentence that sounds fake, but unfortunately isn't. The US government, as an import tax against NVIDIA in exchange for letting NVIDIA sell its H200 AI chip into China, takes 25% of that revenue from NVIDIA. Not profits, revenue. If you're wondering when exactly America turned capitalism into a toll road, don't worry, you didn't miss a constitutional amendment. This just quietly happened. And once you notice it, you start noticing something else. This isn't a one-off. Because NVIDIA isn't the only place the government has shown up with a chair and a spreadsheet. The US government now owns about 10% of Intel. It owns 15% of MP Materials, a critical rare earth supplier. It owns 10% of Trilogy Metals with warrants to buy even more. It owns stakes in lithium producers. It even holds a so-called golden share in US Steel, meaning veto power without full ownership. I got more information right over here on different videos. I'll link them down below as well. This isn't a bailout. This isn't a loan. It's ownership. Uncle Sam is officially on the cap table. And that's the real shift. For 250 years, the American deal was simple. Government regulates, business innovates. Now we're watching a remix. Government invests, businesses comply. This is state capitalism, not socialism, not free markets, but something in between, where the state doesn't run companies, but licenses success. You can still be private, you just can't be independent. Take NVIDIA again. Selling advanced AI chips to China used to be a regulatory question, yes or no. Now it's a negotiation, yes, but we're going to take a cut. And NVIDIA said, fine, take a cut. Because when the government controls access, you don't argue philosophy, you do the math. And the same logic shows up everywhere. Pfizer lowers drugs prices. They sell through a government portal. They invest domestically. And suddenly, tariffs ease and regulatory pressure softens right when it needs help beating a foreign rival. Intel's grants turn into equity and the market cheers, not because dilution is good, but because government ownership is comforting, safe. Investors understand what that means. When the government owns part of you, it doesn't just regulate you, it protects you. Nowhere is this more explicit than in AI. Trump has decided AI isn't just an industry, it's a geopolitical race. Lose it, and you lose a century. You may not be wrong about that. So regulations are rolled back. Key tech imports avoid tariffs. Mergers get waved through, and the White House announces a $500 billion AI infrastructure push alongside private companies. This is Silicon Valley and Washington locking arms and saying, we're doing this together. And look, short term, that can work. But this is where unease starts, because history has seen this movie play out before, and it never starts with a villain. China's version of state capitalism delivered highways, factories, tech giants, and decades of explosive growth. The government picked industries, mobilized capital at scale, and forced catch-up growth faster than markets ever could or people expected. For a long time, it was hard to argue with the results. But over time, growth slowed, debt piled up, and capital kept flowing, but not always in the most productive places. China didn't fail. It hasn't failed, but it hardened. State capitalism is very good at acceleration. Let me say that again. State capitalism is very good at acceleration. It's much worse at agility. Russia tells a darker story, but the same version. The state dominates everything that matters. Growth exists, but it's narrow, fragile, and tied to political priorities. Private capital adapts by staying aligned or leaving. The system survives. Innovation doesn't. And this is the quiet danger. As state capitalism expands, you don't lose the private sector overnight. You lose independent private capital. New companies still form, but more of them are state adjacent. Investments still happen, but it follows political gravity. Debt grows as governments step in again and again and again to keep the system moving because it protects those companies. Nothing breaks all at once. It just becomes harder to fail and harder to challenge power until it isn't. And now comes the part we're really bad at talking about. What happens when the regulator also becomes the shareholder? Because when the government bought 10% of Trilogy Metals, the stock didn't gently rise, it exploded. One decision from Washington created hundreds of millions of dollars in market value almost overnight. So now think about who sees these deals first, who drafts them, who negotiates the term, who knows the timing. We're told to trust that accountability will handle it, but here's the problem. After more than a decade of insider trading laws for lawmakers and pushes to get more on the books, there hasn't been a single publicly reported criminal conviction of a sitting member of Congress for trading on non-public information. Not one. Investigations? Sure, plenty. Late disclosures? Constant. Convictions while in office? Zero. Accountability, it turns out, tends to show up after people leave power. Human nature doesn't flip like a switch. If the incentives exist, behavior follows. That's not cynicism. That's pattern recognition. That's reality. And that's the real tension in America's new state capitalism. Power and incentives are growing faster than guardrails. If the government is going to sit on corporate cap tables, Intel, MP Materials, lithium companies, mining firms, then ownership isn't just economics anymore. It's strategy, it's influence, it's temptation. So this isn't really about whether Trump's version of state capitalism is good or bad. It might be a net benefit right now. The real question is whether you're comfortable handing this system to every future president with their priorities, their grudges, and their definition of national interest. Because once the state pulls up a chair in the boardroom, it almost never gives it back. And America has always worked best when businesses feared competitors, not politicians. That balance is shifting. Whether we notice in time is a story we're now writing. Thanks for watching. If you got any questions, any thoughts about what's happening with America's state capitalism or this in particular, comment below. We try to answer and respond to every single question that comes in. Make sure to please like, subscribe. It really helps us make this channel grow bigger, and share this, because the more people know about this, the better America is going to be. Thanks for watching.